join in hand while the music plays the band. Look, I'm setting us on fire.
Welcome to the Music Plays the Band podcast. We're going to be sitting down with musicians, artists, band members, friends and family to talk about what drives them to create great music. Asking more than just the typical questions, who's inspired you or what music do you like, we're going to ask the why behind what motivates them to create great music.
People join in hand.
Slow down your mind. Give yourself some time. Put your thoughts to bed. Out of your head, and I'm losing feeling in my body now. Got a fever burning through my head. Darkness is coming for me tonight. Please don't turn out the light.
All right, at Front Porch Fest on Saturday evening, and I've got a couple members of Striking Copper here with me, Allie and Jackie.
Yes,
and
hello.
we're going to talk with them for a couple minutes. So you guys introduce yourselves, tell us a little bit about the band.
Well, I'm Allie, and that's Jackie. We're twin sisters, and we started the band about 5 years ago. We originally lived in New York, and I had moved down to Wilmington, North Carolina about 6 years ago, and Jackie followed a year later. And we had a band up in New York that we had to break up, obviously, because we were moving. And when she followed a year later, we started to create a new band,
Yeah.
which is Striking Copper. So
Okay.
we've been doing it for a little bit, and it's been a ride.
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And so how many members are in the band?
Right now, officially, there are 5,
Okay.
but usually 6.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Who wasn't there for your sets today?
Well,
What
we
is-
are
what
in between
instrument?
bass players right now.
Okay.
So I actually have a friend, Chris, who came to play with us. He's from New York, who was in our old band, and he decided to come visit us, and
Okay.
we just set it up so that he could play with us for this couple of
nice.
days.
Yeah. Awesome. Okay, so let's go back to, your guys' childhood, growing up together, and, you can each tell me what's your earliest memory of music.
You're gonna start.
I wonder what yours is. Okay, well, if it's the same one, mine is cleaning day. My parents would, we'd have cleaning day every Saturday, and they would wake us up really early, and the way that they would wake us up is they would just put any kind of music on. Like, most of the time it was like classic rock, Allman Brothers, Doobie Brothers, Fleetwood Mac, Led Zeppelin, all
Yeah.
Eric
those
Clapton.
greats. And so that would be our way of, getting excited to clean. But it's still, it stuck with us. So even though we didn't necessarily like the cleaning part, we liked the listening part. So
Yeah.
that's kind of
Yeah, we woke up to it.
yeah. I mean, literally, they would wake us up with it.
Right.
So and it was never like an angry thing, My mom was a clean freak, but like it would never be like, all right, guys, you need to clean this
Get
right
moving.
now. It was more just like, okay, it's cleaning day. That's why the music's on.
Yeah, yeah.
So that's
Was that-
my like first memory of it.
Was that Saturday or Sunday?
It was usually Saturdays.
Yeah, okay.
It depended. They would have a work day and a fun day. So if Saturday was a work day, then Sunday was a fun day.
Okay.
So, but there was always music. So
Yeah. And so how about for you, Allie?
mine was probably. I have a couple. So my first music experience was probably when my oldest sister introduced me to an album by Tori Amos. It's Little Earthquakes. That was like was it her first album? I think it was her first album.
Okay.
And I was just like, what is this? I've never experienced this before. It was very weird and amazing, and I was just like, I need to tap into this. I don't know why. And I was probably like 12, 13 at the time, and I never had experienced music the way that I did with that album.
Yeah.
And then, and I think the first singing experience we had was with one of our best friends. Her father was a musician, and he still is. And he taught us actually how to harmonize together. It was my sister and I and our friend would kind of put on shows, and he would teach us, this is this note and this is that note, and it's supposed to sound like this together. And it was really
So he had
enlightening.
musical background.
Oh, yeah,
Oh, for sure. Yeah. He's great, actually. His name is Cliff Miller. He has his own band up in New York. And it's a duo thing, and they're really fantastic.
Yeah.
He's also an artist, a painter, and he's all around a Renaissance man when it comes to art.
yeah.
So,
Yeah.
Okay, so that kind of leads to another question I ask is there an event or a person that sort of pushed you towards focusing on music?
I would say Ani DeFranco was my number one. In high school, my sister, actually the same sister who got her into Tori Amos, got me into Ani DeFranco, and ever since then, I'm very political, so I never saw that side of music before. I mean, I heard stories about classic rock, that being like in the Vietnam War era, and how it was kind of a protest to the war.
Right.
Ani DeFranco was more, my generation or my time of protest. So I loved the idea of using music as a way to really express yourself, and I think that's when in high school I was like, this is definitely something I would want to do at some point in my life.
Yeah.
Yet I never learned how to play guitar, but I found someone who knew how to, so.
Yeah.
Well, there was also, when we were younger, there are a lot of female artists, but when we were younger, they weren't really highlighted at the time. And I think we grew up with such strong women. My sisters, my mother, my grandparents, my aunts and uncles. I mean, they're all such strong presence that we felt like we wanted to do something that was out of the norm.
Right.
It didn't start in high school when we were thinking about it. It actually took a long time for us to figure out what we wanted to do. So after college, that was when we started. We were like, you know what? We're going to start a band. And we've always said we wanted to do it. We both have crippling panic disorder, so we had some stage fright to kind of overcome.
We had terrible stage fright. Actually, the way that we got over it was we would go to karaoke.
Every
It's a
Thursday
place called
night.
Velvet Lounge. We'd go every Thursday night to karaoke, and we'd get hammered.
Yes.
And just,
We would get very, very drunk and actually be able to sing in front of people. And every time we went, we got less and less drunk. And that's pretty much how it was. Not that we're encouraging that, but that's how we overcame that whole...
Although it did really help. I mean, it really did. Yeah. We had no idea what was happening at the time.
Yeah, was that intentional, like, to work yourself off of drinking so much and more into...
Subconsciously, I feel like.
I think in the beginning it wasn't, but then towards the end, because we were more conscious when we were doing, we're like, oh, we can do this without drinking.
Right, yeah. And now we rarely drink.
Yeah,
So
hardly
it's
ever.
interesting how
How
that
about
happens.
stage fright now?
Occasionally.
Every once in a while,
Yeah.
I'll get like that twinge of fear,
Yeah.
and I'm like, okay. And then
I think
You
a
know,
lot
you
of
just gotta
people
breathe.
though. Yeah, I think a lot of famous people too that have done this for years and years and years still have that like just that moment like
Right.
oh man.
yeah,
Yeah, I mean, there's a certain
What
amount
do
of
I do?
pressure, that
For
goes with
sure.
what you're
Yeah.
doing, so
yeah. I
that
mean,
makes sense.
just sounding okay and looking okay, and all that just kind of goes in your mind
It's a lot of pressure.
constantly. It is for sure.
So, were you guys in band or chorus or anything in high school?
I was
She
in
was in
band in
band, I
the
was in
beginning.
chorus.
I not in high school actually.
Oh, right.
Yeah, you did the course.
I did chorus all throughout middle school and high school.
Yeah. I just did. I played the flute in middle school, but I didn't continue it in high school.
Yeah, she did art. Like they had an art class too, so
Yeah.
she did that.
Well, I just saw your VIP set. I didn't see the one earlier. But do you guys play instruments at all during your sets?
Me and tambourine and
Yeah.
a shaker.
Shaker, yeah.
Okay.
I play a
and
little bit.
drum. We play tom
Yeah.
every so often. Not very good. But, I
Very
mean,
little flute, and that's pretty much it.
Yeah.
We really want to start incorporating like other, start learning other instruments to incorporate them into our sets.
A
But-
ukulele, that'd be.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, oh man,
It's just a lot of time you got to put into
Oh
it.
yeah.
That's true. I mean, we all have full-time jobs
Right.
on top of playing music, so it's kind of like two full-time jobs, really.
yeah.
So learning another instrument is it's a
It's
dream.
daunting a little bit.
Yeah, but it's it's a little intimidating. Yeah.
So okay, you moved down to North Carolina first.
No,
No,
I
she
didn't.
did.
She did. Okay. Was that for college or work or? what was
No,
that?
my husband and I got engaged, I guess. Was it before that? I
Yeah, it
don't
was
know.
before you moved.
We had gone down to Wilmington maybe a year before with our old band, and we played a festival there. And
Which festival was it?
Is that
you know,
Poplar Grove?
it was a small,
very small.
Not
small.
Azalea Fest.
Yeah,
No,
nothing
no.
very large, but we loved the community. We loved the music scene. We loved the musicians that were there. They were so welcoming,
Yeah.
and in New York, I mean, I'm sure there are parts that are the same way, but in the parts that we were at, it was all very cutthroat, nobody supported each other really.
Right.
And it was kind of sad. I mean, that was really sad. It was like, it felt like a competition. Like we were always trying to get better, and we could never like just sit where we wanted to be and do what we wanted to do. We always had to see what other people were doing, and I think we lost a little bit of that creativity that we always wanted. So my husband and I decided randomly just to move down. He had some family that lived there, and
Okay.
so we just picked up all of our stuff and moved on down. I cried for a good full year because it was like, oh, I don't know anybody, whatever. But then she
And
came
then I
down.
picked up all my stuff and we just moved down to your apartment
Yeah.
Yeah.
for at least a month.
Yeah. Oh
And
yeah.
then we found jobs and
And built a life.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
So
And how long ago was that?
about
that was
2013
for her, 2014 for me.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so you guys started playing music together, obviously, when you got together in Wilmington.
Yep.
And what's been the evolution of Striking Copper since then?
Well, since Dan Bennett is our lead guitarist, and it's so funny because the band that we had up in New York was very lead guitar driven as well, and it was just a completely different guitarist.
Yeah.
So when we found Dan, we kind of became like a Southern roots rock
Yeah.
band, because he had this very distinct sound,
Yeah.
and
Very soul
we really just kind of
morphed.
He
Yeah.
looks the part too.
He
He
does.
definitely
he definitely does.
Well,
I mean, he's a Southern boy. So.
he's I mean, the only time he ever crossed over the Mason-Dixon line was with us,
Yeah.
maybe like 2 years ago. So
Yankees.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I got him on a subway. It was a little interesting.
Oh, really?
It's like, this is the first moving train I've ever been on. I was like, oh, okay.
But yeah, so we kind of really, not that, we have that distinct sound. We've always had a distinct sound between me, Allie, and Matt, her husband, who's rhythm guitar and also
Okay.
co
The other
vocalist.
Yeah.
And so, but it's just funny how different elements come or added to that sound, and it just becomes a completely different sound. So like up in New York, we had a different drummer initially, and she was a little more laid back, like in the pocket, and then we picked up Frank, and he's more rock. I mean, his
Punk
background
rock,
is punk rock,
metal.
So our
That's just
sound
like-
just really just kind of changed there.
Yeah.
And then since he's been with us, I mean, I married him, so you know he's gonna be with us. But since he's been with us, I mean, we've been more of a rock band.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Yeah, actually, I didn't know what to expect, and rock and roll wasn't what I was expecting.
Yeah.
I mean, it was awesome.
We
Thank
kind
you.
of try to touch every,
Yeah.
part, every
We
well,
haven't-
not every genre, but you
There
know.
are people that will probably tell us what genre we are in, and I would say rock is probably the closest one, but there are times where we don't sound like rock music at all.
Yeah, because like we have swampy songs, we have
Folk.
very folk songs and country songs even. So it's kind of a interesting mixture of
Yeah.
things.
Well, like in the band, who does the songwriting?
So it's mainly the three of us. So
Okay.
the three singers.
Yeah.
Matt usually comes up with the guitar parts and sometimes melody, sometimes the lyrics. It really depends on who's bringing it to the table. We have had other members of the band have a song that they've created and bring it forward, and
Yeah.
we kind of make it that way. But
Yeah,
But
most
yeah,
of the time it's
it's-
really just us three.
yeah,
And sometimes we have lyrics already written, but we don't have a melody for it. So, Matt will come up with some, guitar chords or whatever.
Yeah.
And then all the other band members add their own element
Art.
to it.
Okay.
yeah.
And so when you guys are working on a song, what's really important for the band? Like some bands or artists for songwriting, some for orchestration. So.
If you asked every
just wanna sound
single,
good.
yeah, I mean, if you asked each one of us, we would probably have a different answer.
Yeah.
Because
That's very true.
I am very about the lyrics. I'm very about the message,
Okay.
and also how the melody and how the song kind of evolves with what what we're actually singing.
Yeah.
Whereas like Frank would be like, I just want to rock.
Yeah. And Matt's more about the structure of the song and like the overall picture, and I'm all about the feeling.
Okay.
Yeah, it's
So I think we kind of work together in a way to make it right,
Yeah.
so that we're all kind of happy and
it doesn't always end up that way, but
we are family, so
Yeah.
it can get a little scrappy sometimes.
Yeah, right.
But
That's part of the process.
yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, we've done it this long, so
Yeah. So what's the future look like for you guys? What are you working on?
well, right now we are working on a new album. It's going to be dropped on December 31st
Okay.
in Wilmington, and it's going to be a 12 song album. We actually we created an idea that it's a trip around the sun, so it's basically a song for every month, and
Oh, yeah.
it's all kinds of there's a few things, a few themes that we've kind
Yeah.
of that's evolved with this album, and
Okay.
one thing is that it's a song with each month, and your feelings are never the same. They're always constantly changing, and that's kind of what the songs represent.
Yeah.
But then there's also another aspect where we're doing music videos based on the album. So we've got 2 music videos already done, and
Nice.
that were released on our Facebook page. It's for Smiling Girl and A Trip Around the Sun.
Okay.
And they're actually placed in each season. And also it tells a story about a woman's life, but it feels like within a year, if that makes sense.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
Yeah, so we found a local Wilmington film company. They're called Honeyhead Films. It's two blonde women, and they are. I can't
Fantastic.
say blonde because Honeyhead is
Oh, okay.
why they're called that. And they're amazing. I
Yes.
mean, the visions that they see, we could never even imagine. So
Yeah,
and.
nice.
But so the first song is Smiling Girl. It starts with the girl, and she's a redhead, of course, so that's kind of a theme throughout. So it starts with a young girl. She's about 6 or 7, And then the next song, the next video is A Trip Around the Sun, and she's about 20 years old. So it's all these different stories within the same timeline. So it's pretty cool.
Are you guys
Proud of
doing
it.
like a tour along with that release?
After
or-
that, we're going to be doing a regional tour.
Okay.
We haven't set the dates yet, but that'll be happening very soon. I think we're starting in March.
Yes.
So look for the album in end of
December,
December,
yep.
and then tour coming up in the spring.
Yeah.
Yep.
Awesome.
Yep.
Cool.
Yeah.
You guys want to plug anything else?
I don't know.
I think we plugged in like everything.
I think we did it all.
covered
We
that.
do love festivals. We
Yeah.
really feel like this is kind of our thing. Like,
Yeah.
like our band really fits into all the other music that's being played now in festivals. And so we plan to be in more festivals next year. But that's all booking and stuff that I still need to work on.
Yeah. And
So-
are you guys sticking around tonight?
Yeah.
We are. We're gonna
Nice.
camp out. We haven't camped out in a while, so
gonna
we
be
miss it terribly.
Is that what everybody else is doing, getting set up?
They are.
They're putting up the tent, so
It's
yeah.
nice that we don't have to do
Thanks
that.
thanks for making us do this
You're
and
welcome.
not having to put the tent up.
Well, thank you guys for taking the time. I
Thank
appreciate
you.
it.
Yeah, no.
Where people join in hand in hand while the music plays the band. Going outside.
Hey, thank you for listening. I'm super excited to share these interviews with you, and I'd really appreciate you subscribing and leaving me a review, 5 stars preferably, but I'll take any feedback you've got. And stay tuned, we've got lots more exciting interviews coming your way.